Hello everyone and welcome back to City Skylines, New York. This is episode 5 and today I'm finally going to get started on the lower Manhattan downtown side of things with the a couple of things we're going to be building is the World Trade Center of course, as well as the Battery Park City and just the Battery Park that sits right at the tip of Manhattan. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. So we're starting off the video here just sort of clearing out this area and making way for the road layout of Lower Manhattan, which in and of itself was a pretty challenging project due to the fact that it isn't really constrained or isn't really made up of a grid layout as the rest of Manhattan is. As some of you may probably know, this Lower Manhattan downtown area is where New York City was basically born. This is where the settlers came in and constructed the city. This is where it all started. So a lot of the road layout here is kind of just all over the place. It wasn't really planned out as well as the rest of New York City was. So trying to mimic that, because obviously I'm not building this city to scale, so replicating the road layout one-to-one was not really an option for me. So I was just sort of left to mimic what the road layout that exists. So that's just me trying to do that here. I also didn't really go into too much detail work with this part of the town because I mostly wanted to reserve that for the World Trade Center site, as well as the Battery Park and Battery Park Plaza, because to me those are the parts that will be receiving more visual attention via like cinematics and just flybys. This sort of like financial district, like where Wall Street sits and all that, it's mainly just supposed to be admired from above, and that's about it. I hardly will ever go down to street level here, so yeah, that's also just me trying to save up on props and not lag out my city before I can even finish it. So I'm trying to remain conservative with my prop usage and all that stuff, so apologies for the lack of detailing in certain areas, but yeah, we're now starting to get to work on the World Trade Center Twin Tower Memorial, which is a beautiful site, by the way. I've actually been there in person, and it's such a beautiful place to be at. It's obviously a reminder of the tragic events that occurred in 2001, but I tried to replicate it to the best of my abilities here. Obviously the reflecting pools, beautiful assets, but the one thing I wasn't actually able to get a hold of was the actual museum that sits on the site, as well as like a couple other buildings that sit on towards the large avenue here. I'm not really sure what those buildings are, but I see them on Google Maps and all that, so they're there. But I don't really know what they are. So I just kind of worked with what I had. I made it look okay, I guess, but yeah, this museum building that that I ended up choosing isn't really doing its job. I mean, I kind of like it to be honest. It is different from the glass structure that exists there in real life, but I feel like having this sort of concrete contemporary structure, it does a good job. I think I like it, so I'm gonna keep it there. It looks good, it looks fine. It's a bit different, but again, I like it. I don't know, but yeah, again, placing down all these trees to create the sort of forest that exists here that really does a really good job at just blocking out all the surrounding city sounds to really just put you into the site. It really just immerses you. Am I speaking English words? I'm kind of tired right now, honestly, but these trees do a great job at just blocking out all the sound when you're at the site, and just helps you focus on the memorial itself. It's a beautiful experience, honestly. I just don't know how to put it into words. I'm tired. But yeah, I kind of want to talk about the World Trade Center site architecturally, because a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about this complex, this site in general. Just with the World Trade Center, the one World Trade Center tower itself, it's a building made up of compromise. A lot of people were expecting a lot of different things with the reconstruction of this area after the terrorist attacks. So some people wanted to just straight up rebuild the towers as they were. Other people saw this as an opportunity to improve upon what was there and just create entirely new structures. Other people wanted to just create just these insane, I'll see if I can find some like images of them, but just some insane looking like modern skyscrapers that in my opinion didn't really at all fit the New York skyline whatsoever. It's just like, to me, a good building in New York should belong in New York, as is with every other city. If your building can just be plopped in any part of the world and it looks like it fits, then I don't know. I just don't really agree with that. At least if it's such an iconic structure, like something that changes your city as much as the World Trade Center does with New York. You can't just build anything here. It has to be something that fits, and it has to be something that does New York justice. You know, city buildings like the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, they were built for New York. You can't really take those buildings and plop them anywhere else in the world. You can't place them down in Los Angeles, Phoenix. You can't place them down in Beijing, because those buildings are a part of the New York fabric. They're part of the city's soul. So that's kind of what a lot of people were expecting from this new site. They were expecting a new New York icon to be constructed, and what ended up actually being built was this sort of tower made up of compromises. A simple structure that mimicked and resembled the original towers that used to exist there, but also new in its construction, which sort of signified growth and a way of moving on from what happened there. So one building that I'm actually like in total opposition towards is the second World Trade Center that's being constructed currently, which has kind of been in limbo for like the past decade or so. It's been under different iterations and different designs over the years, but they've kind of just decided on the original, which is this sort of like tall glass structure that like has like this diamond on top, or is shaped like a diamond on top, and it's just, that one just doesn't scream New York to me. That one isn't, it's just not, I don't like that building at all. You can literally place it down in any Asian city, in any other North American city, and it'll probably fit just fine, just as fine as in those cities as in New York. It just doesn't work for me. So yeah, definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think about that sort of architecture topic that we just had in the last clip. What do you guys think about the new World Trade Center? Any like thoughts, opinions? I'd love to read all that in the comments, so please let me know if you guys have anything to say about that. But yeah, currently continuing to work on the Lower Manhattan sort of skyline here near Wall Street. Again, not too much detail work here. It's definitely not going to be looked at a lot in the future. It's just sort of meant to be there and fill up the skyline, but shortly I will start to get to work on this little structure here on the opposite end of the memorial, which I'm not too sure what this is. I tried to figure it out. I think it's just like a little like elevated park, at least on top. I don't know what is inside this structure. Perhaps it's like a parking garage. I couldn't really find any information on this. I tried, I'm sorry. But it looked cool regardless. It sort of connects via this little sky bridge to the other side of the avenue here towards the Battery Park Plaza. And yeah, I sort of tried to recreate this to the best of my ability, maybe give my own spin on it with the limitations of City Skylines. Basically, I just plop these giant grass decal things to make the roof here, and I used path networks to sort of build out the rest of this park for people to walk on. I'm not sure if I actually connected this to the sidewalk as an actual piece that people can use in the city, so I guess we'll see in a couple seconds once we get to that part. But I like it. It's a simple little structure that I ended up building with some cute little foliage and all that stuff. But now we're getting to work on this little plaza towards the north side of the World Trade Center site, which is actually right next to World Trade Center 7 and this older building next to it. Again, nothing too special, just a cute little plaza, triangular in shape, which was interesting to work with this sort of geometry here. I love making little spaces like this for the public to use, little green spaces, little gardens for just to serve as a sort of escape from the big city life in New York. Obviously, green space is a very important feature in big cities. It helps with mental health, it helps with stress relief, it helps just with connection with nature and air quality and all that good stuff. So adding little bits of greenery always helps. But now we're sort of working on one of my favorite parts of this build of this episode, which is the Battery Park City Battery Park Plaza, which sort of sits along the west side highways that cuts through the city here. So yeah, I kind of try to put some actual effort into the detailing here, making these little gardens that sit along the side of the avenue here. With these, honestly, if you don't use these in your builds, what are you doing? These little retaining wall networks are so versatile and just it can be used in so many different ways. They're quite literally like a lifesaver in detailing in City Skylines. So great asset. I'm sure many of you already know this. So, but for those of you that don't, pick it up. It's a great asset. But regardless, now I am getting to work on the Battery Park. I believe it's called Battery Park. Or the Battery. The Battery Park that sits over here at the tip of Lower Manhattan, which also has the Castle Clinton National Monument. I believe this served as a sort of fortress during the Revolutionary War. I don't want to get into the specifics. I didn't really research this, so I don't really want to talk too much about it in case I just get it totally wrong. But I was there in person again when I visited New York. It was a cute little place to be in, nice and tranquil. Obviously, the Staten Island Ferry will sit right next to it, which I didn't actually get to building in this episode because I don't think I have a lot of ferry assets downloaded. And even if I did, I couldn't actually find the Staten Island Ferry terminal on the workshop. So I feel like if I don't have that, then why even bother, you know? I guess I could try and recreate it in a later episode, but no promises. I don't know how well I will actually be able to achieve that. But regardless, I'm working on some bike paths currently, as you can see on screen, which I'd love to see being used later on in the series when I have more of a population up. I love seeing people riding their bikes and stuff in cities like these. It's a great way to commute. I personally own an electric scooter, which it's so fun to use. I love riding around my college campus with it, so having as much bike infrastructure as possible is great. And I know New York City is one of the leading cities in terms of bike infrastructure, at least here in the US, so it's great to incorporate stuff like that in this series. And again, I'm just filling up this area with trees, not really putting too much detail into it because I don't want to overload my save game with props and all these details that will just end up lagging out my game and just making it completely unplayable later on. Because I am achieving, or I am striving for scale with this city as well, and I want to make sure I can actually do that later on in the series. But yeah, I think we are now reaching the end of the episode, so as I finish up this little greenery patch here and just hide it away with some trees because I was too lazy to actually finish it. Yeah, this is the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all like my version of downtown New York and lower Manhattan. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I seriously hope you enjoyed, and huge thanks to my Patreons, by the way. I launched a Patreon and I already have a couple people on there, some of which being Fluffy the Cat, Patrick Landlot, and my good friend Johnny Garcia. So thank you all so much for the support on Patreon. It really helps me pay the bills with this with this channel, with my music subscriptions and stuff, because I'm trying to like better the quality of my videos and all that. So again, huge thank you to all those that support me and that watch my videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.